أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My name is Ibrahim Abdul Mateen, and we're going to be starting just in a moment. I'm honored to be in this conversation. Just want to maybe begin with Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. So we're happily here. We've arrived here at this interesting point of transition, and we're going to get into the details in a moment. I just wanted to acknowledge, as a person who's been supporting Sapelo as a board member and as a supporter of Suad for all of her brilliant ideas, that I'm honored to be able to help shepherd this conversation today. So I'm just gonna briefly say, my name is Ibrahim Abdul Mateen. I'm gonna briefly say that we live in a time of extraction. We extract things out of the ground. We extract things from human beings. We extract products out of the natural world. We extract data, and then we use it and sell it and flip it and share it with other people. The key thing about this particular moment in history is that we're making a transition from this era of extraction to an era of regeneration. So as we make this transition, we also have to practice that. How are we just, and how are we honorable, and how are we showing up as our best selves in all of our transitions? Sapelo Square was a vision to create a digital platform that would give a broad reflection of Black Muslims in the United States and how we show up in this culture, in this society. It's grown to the point where now it's able to transition so that we have second generation leadership. And so that's where we're here today. That's what we're here to sort of respect that and honor that. And what someone once told me is that, and this applies, that science without ceremony science needs the ceremony, right? And a lot of what we do is a sort of form of experimentation and science and observation. So we need this ceremony. We need to come together, even if we're not physically together as people. We need to come together, and hopefully whoever's listening and whoever's here live with us, we're doing the ceremony together today, like our Native American ancestors had done, like our African ancestors have done for centuries and for thousands of years. So with that begun, I would like to, we have Sapelo's managing editor. Oh, no, is that your title, Aisha? You're the executive director.
Yes.
You're the executive director. What is it that we made? See, that's the messiness of transitions. We have Aisha's online, and we also have Suad online. And we're going to hear from both of them, and I'm going to gently shepherd this conversation so that we can get the best ideas out of them. We're happy to have you. So if you don't mind, unless you guys want to lead in with anything quickly, I can start by asking you a question, Suad.
Well, it's Tasha, not Aisha.
Oh my God, sorry. I looked at the wrong thing. Sorry, Tasha.
That's
You should have just called me out just then.
No, you're fine.
Hilarious. See, that's what happens when you get a man to do this job. Just joking. Tasha, so sorry about that. I love being called out. But let's start with you, Suad. What factors contributed to you stepping back from Sapelo Square?
Yeah, so I think really I was really tired and kind of burnt out. I had been working on Sapelo for a really long time, but I realized that I was not really, I was feeling tired. I was just feeling tired, and I was like, but this thing is so important, right? This is really important. It has to continue, but it doesn't have to be me, right? And it never had to be me. And the whole point of doing Sapelo and the way that it was kind of built was to try to be a collective, to be a collaborative, have many people as a part of the process. So one thing was like, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling burnt out. It's probably time for me to step back. And then also, my mother passed away in 2017, and I have been working with her archive. And as I started to work with the archive, which I call Umi's Archive, and started to, get involved with that work, I realized like, this is what I need to be doing right now. And I really couldn't do Sapelo well and Umi's archive well. Like I didn't have the energy, right, to do both those things well. So it was like, okay, I should step back, right? And I should let somebody else, kind of step forward. And so I'm super excited because we were talking about this as a collective, as a squad. And I was thinking about, we had meetings and conversations and discussions, and like thinking about where I was at, where Sapelo was at, and what it needed. And, Tasha, we were like, everybody was looking at her like, okay, well, because we got the money finally, right? So it was like, well, everyone was like, I think everyone was pointing at her. And so it was like a perfect, like kind of fit, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
And she's like looking around and you guys are pointing at her. Like, what? So Tasha, what made you decide to step up and take on the role of executive director of Sapelo?
Well, y'all want the long version or the short version? Because the long version, we may have to go back to 1985.
Let's start there, and you can jump up to the present. I want to go back. I like 85.
I'm gonna give you the short version then because I can't skip. I would say, in one word, Allah. Just to expound on that, I was in a place where I felt that what I was doing wasn't fulfilling, in the sense that I wanted to be more involved with the community. I wanted to basically, I always thought when I was with Sapelo, I was like, I would want to do this, for real. And I never really thought that it would come to fruition in this way. But I was in a place where it all kind of came into place. My son, he was, moving out of the home. I had more free time going on. And I was just, ready to try something new. And I enjoyed being with Sapelo. I started with Sapelo in 2019 when I saw something online about the Believers Bailout campaign. Now, when I got there, what they didn't tell me was that Believers Bailout had left. And so I just stayed and really enjoyed what everyone was doing, got involved, and really started learning kind of like the background stuff, because I came in as an admin and I just enjoyed it. So it was just kind of a natural transition when that position came up for me to put my, throw my hat in there. And it all just kind of worked. It all just kind of worked out. Now, I won't say that it was necessarily the easiest decision I've made, because it was easy with my heart, but it wasn't necessarily easy with my mind, because I was, I had been in my previous job for 17 years. I was comfortable. I knew what I was doing. There was no issues with that. So it was kind of like a heart and a head thing was going on at the same time. But I pray it's the car. And, they say when, your decision is made easy for you after that. And this was just like an easy transition.
I'm just really impressed that you were in one place for 17 years. Bless you for that. That's amazing. That's a real serious thing. I don't think Suad or I have been anywhere for 17 years. So that's really impressive. So that gives me a lot of encouragement about you stepping into this role and sort of building it out the right way. Suad, excluding getting to the point where you could hire an ED, which is, have anyone's run an organization or been responsible for making sure that other people are getting fed, essentially what running an organization helps to do, that's an accomplishment. But what is one of your most cherished accomplishments at your time at Sapelo? I think right now you're smiling and you smile a lot, but what makes you smile about the work that you've done?
So I just have to say, I have been to one place for 17 years. Brooklyn, New York City. Okay. I had to take the opportunity.
I love it.
She got to throw Brooklyn in there somewhere.
Yes.
True. I appreciate that.
But no, I think, so getting the ED was huge for us and for the organization. But outside of that, I think my most cherished moments or things that have happened have been really small things. So when I went to Muhammad Ali's janazah, and this older sister, Black Muslim sister from Atlanta was like talking to me, and she started talking to me about Sapelo and didn't know I had any relationship to it. She's like, "Oh, there's this really cool thing called you should check it out," Or like one time I was in Chicago at this university, and this young sister comes up to me. She was Iranian American, and she was like, "I read this thing that you guys posted. We had this piece called Elegy for the Kimar." And she was like, "It really resonated with me," right? And it was about a Black Muslim experience, right? But it resonated with her because of the way, because she wasn't Arab, it was a whole thing that, made sense to her. So it's like, it has been those things. So it's kind of like the reach of Sapelo, right? The different kinds of people and unexpected ways and places, or even just now when I posted about the transition, a colleague friend of mine who teaches, I think at University of North Carolina, she's like how she uses Sapelo all the time in her classroom, which I didn't know that. I mean, I assumed, hear it, maybe now and then, but you don't really know, right? So I think it has been kind of, discovering, right, this impact and these kind of small everyday ways that have been, for me, the most, I kind of demonstrate, I think, how meaningful the work has been.
Well, that's great. I love that. It's like the indicators of success are much more like emotional in a weird way. They're personal. But you wore a lot of hats. You did a lot of things. And for a lot of folks that are out there that you can do things soup to nuts, you're a master project manager. You understand what it takes to execute on all these different levels. In the world that I've come in, I used to be a lot in government, and a lot of times and a lot of other places too, but when you transition from one person to another, you write an exit memo. And the exit memo kind of lays out what are the key things that next person who's following you has to do, what big pitfalls are going to come on their way, but just key things that you've learned that could sort of, make it easier for the next person. What would be some of those key takeaways that you've learned that could assist Tasha right now in this role?
I guess the first thing, you're right, like a soup to nuts type of situation. And, Sapelo has been all volunteer for most, for up until now. And although we've been able to give sort of small stipends to people who are part of the squad in the last few years, it's not, no one's living off of this type of thing. And so, her being able to be having a full-time paid staff member, I think is really significant. But I say that to say that I think, that being said, I think it's important, and this is just what I've learned kind of the hard way, is that when you're working with people, you need to be okay with people if people like fail, so if someone drops the ball, I would always pick it up, right? But sometimes you gotta let the ball drop, right? And the world is not gonna end. It's not gonna be whatever. But that, I think, prevents things like being tired and getting burnt out, right? It's like, you can you have to sort of create an environment, because part of it is creating a space where everybody feels like they're a part of it, right? And they have a responsibility to it. So I think my first thing would just be like that, be okay with, sort of letting, if people drop balls, let the balls drop, and then you figure out after the ball has dropped what we want to do. But instead of you trying to do everything, right? Because I think you're not supposed to do everything, right? That's the thing. What else?
Brushed over that, but that's you learned the hard way in some ways.
Yes, yes, it's a very hard way. It's like I have a hard head. So. I think, what else? I think the other thing I would say is, don't be humble about what this is. Because that's my MO, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's real hard. I'd be like, I'll talk, even Sapelo Square, right? And I was thinking about it. There is still nothing else like Sapelo Square. When I started doing Umi's archive, I realized there's this whole Black and Muslim universe that exists that did not exist when in the media, that did not exist when we started Sapelo. But some people do things they'll do Black history facts, right? They'll do that, which we do, right? Or they'll do profiles of people, which we do. All they'll do, or they'll do a reflection of Ramadan, which we do. All the these little, they'll do things that are similar, but Sapelo does it all, right? And I think that's really significant. And so I think, don't be shy about tooting the horn, because a lot of people put a lot of work in to make this happen. People who aren't even with us, and I don't mean like because they stopped working with Sapelo, right? Like there's a legacy, right? There's like an ancestral legacy that got us to this point, and so we need to be like, damn, Skippy, what this is. So I think that my second piece of advice would be like, don't be shy and be open about, sort of talking with pride about the accomplishments of the organization and the squad.
Beautiful.
Those are my two pieces of advice.
And I love the fact that you're focused and committed to the squad, the collective. At some point, it would be interesting to unpack that and how that translates. But Tasha, what do you hope to bring? What's one thing you hope to bring to the audience, to the organization? I'm curious how you're feeling at this moment, also in general, about taking all this on.
I would say my biggest thing with the audience would be a sense of community. Learning the origin story of Sapelo Square and how it came to be is like, that's what Suad was kind of yearning for, where she was at, that sense of community where she grew up in Brooklyn, I guess. And, I would love to bring that, not that it's not already there, but like build upon it. And, it also gets me to thinking about, the companions of the prophet, peace be upon him, and how their community was. They were there for each other. They uplifted each other, and even those who weren't necessarily doing the right thing, they were still, they were companions. And it's like, that's the sense of community that I envisioned when I was learning about Islam before I embraced Islam. And so that's the kind of thing that resonates with me. And I would like to, for Sapelo to be able to be that for people. So I would say that for audience, and I guess for the organization, just to continue the great leadership that Suad started, and also, other squad members. Aisha, as you mentioned in the beginning, she has been there providing leadership as well. And it's like, you learn, like the squad learns from each other. Like we kind of learn from each other, and we have to depend on each other. So, I just want to continue that, to be able to lead and be an example.
That's great. So what's next, Tasha?
What's next? So first, let me say that, let me go back a little bit, because I need to rep Atlanta since.
Back to 85? Just checking. You going back
No. Well, we can go back there. It's still Atlanta. I just need to put Atlanta out there for a second. But as far as what's next, as far as content for Sapelo, I think, you can continue to look for what's already been there, the sections that we have, history, the education. I think that's a staple that has to remain. Just learning about the history of Islam and the scholarship that has been brought to the articles that are produced, that has to remain. Like, that wouldn't change. As far as something new, I can't give you everything, but I would say like different and unique experiences that may have not been featured before. Because one thing for me is I'm not, I'm like the first Muslim in my family. So when I embraced Islam, Sapelo wasn't around. And as Suad stated before, there was no other place like it. So when I was looking online for, how to cover, ways to cover, it was never any anything on the internet with us showing how to rap or dress modestly. So I think bringing those unique experiences to let people know that it's okay to still be themselves when you embrace Islam, or, if you've, growing up in a Muslim family, whatever it may be, that's okay. And so portraying those different experiences is important. Also, we do want to kind of delve into news a bit to talk about some of the issues that affect us as Black Muslims and just Black people, period. On top of that, I would say something you will probably see in the next few weeks is just more interaction with the community to learn what they want, to ask for, people to submit things, maybe have a pool of writers to choose from instead of, going out and finding someone to write for us. Like, if letting people know that it's okay to send us submissions and pitches for articles and content for the site.
These are all really, what you're doing is like really setting up like obviously it's been, and this is why the idea is really powerful, like a platform, a real platform, and the sort of like ceiling is like limitless almost in a way. So I'm just acknowledging that that those are some of the, those are really good tangible next steps that are making me very excited to be part of that and to be able to share that with my sons and my nieces, as something that they can sort of look to as younger people, that they'll be like, oh yeah, this has always been here. And they can learn and grow from that. So that's really fresh. Is there anything else you guys want to share? Or you want to, sort of to close us out a little bit, or any other questions? Swad, do you have any questions for Tasha that you want to throw at her that you didn't prepare? She's not ready for.
No, so she could kill me. No, that's okay. I will just say, you're thinking about, I'm looking forward to. I'm super excited about Tasha's leadership and her vision, right? And I know she said she wants to kind of continue sort of the leadership legacy I left, but I think, she's also going to take it in her own way, right? And she's going to add things to it that I could never add, right? And I'll be around somewhere, but don't call me. I'm just kidding. No. I'll still be, I'll always be in support, right, of Sapelo Square. And so, but I'm just, like I said before, I think I tweeted this. I was like, all I can say is Allahu Akbar, Sapelo Square is making Black history, and I can't wait to see what's next. So,
amen. Look at that. How about you, Tasha? Any last, any mic drops?
No mic drops. But I do want to say that, coming, if you want to say behind or after or whatever the case may be, after Suad and all that she's accomplished in the 7 years, I was wondering how the reception would be. And so after the announcement was made, I just want to tell, everyone who's watching, or if you watch on the replay, that, thank you, because I did feel welcomed. It was just seemed like a lot of support. So I'm grateful for that. So that's just what I want to say.
That's beautiful. Good luck. All right, I'll just close this out then. I'm honored that I was able to help shepherd this conversation. Just may Allah just grant us all the best in all of our affairs, inshallah. And may Allah give us sort of wisdom. May you, specifically Tasha, in this phase, give you wisdom and discernment and patience and vision and all of the things that you need to take your vision and turn it into reality. Ameen. And Suad, in your next endeavors and adventures, we're just super eager and excited to see what all those things are. I hope you're not going to have a rap album, but I wouldn't be surprised if you did that. Throwing it out there. The Muslim Girl Code. I'm just joking.
And so we'll feature it on Sapelo. So.
All right, I'll close out with Asr. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus solihat wattawasaw bil haqq wattawasaw bil sabr. So, alhamdulillah. All right. Bismillah.